Om Gangadipataye Namaha. Namaste. Welcome to Essence of Dharma. I really get a kick out of doing these videos. It's because I'm so fortunate. I'm so happy after a lifetime of struggle to come to this knowledge, this realization. And now I get to share it with others, which makes it 100 times better. So I enjoy doing these videos, and that's the only reason I do it. It's good for me and it's good for you. So stay with us and watch all of them. You really get something valuable. So I want to tell you that yoga is one. How is that, you say? There's 1,000 different brands of yoga out there, and they're all claiming to be the best and the only one that leads to enlightenment, and so on, blah, 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 blah. How is it possible? Well, if one branch of yoga is claiming to be the one true path and all others are wrong, that means they just don't understand yoga. Because yoga means joining, means hooking together, like a horse to a cart, connecting, bringing the various things into one. So how can yoga be a cause for discrimination? How can yoga be a cause for competition? How can yoga be the basis of splintering into 1,000 different sects? That simply means they don't understand yoga. They're acting for their own purposes, their own desires, fame, fortune, distinction, honor, and so on. They don't know yoga. Because Ramana Maharshi, my teacher, says that yoga is one. And why is that? Because all yoga has the common aim or purpose of connection. The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit yukt, which means to connect or hitch up. So how can it be a cause for division? It's a cause for unification. And actually, almost any activity, there are thousands of different yoga methods mentioned in the scriptures, and probably thousands more that we could come up with that would have some good effect, if they're done with the intention of connection, of joining, of making the many one. That is the actual aim of yoga. That's the actual intention. So, that said, Ramana also taught there are 4 main departments, 4 main levels of yoga practice. And those are karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, and jnana yoga. And the interesting thing is that in the beginning, like karma yoga, there are practically unlimited possible methods and applications. Because anybody just doing their everyday work, for example, to take care of their body, keep house and home together, take care of themselves, feed themselves, and so on. If they're doing it with the ultimate aim of self-realization, that's karma yoga. And anyone worshiping any kind of form of God with any kind of small devotion is bhakti. So you see, we accept, actually yoga accepts all kinds of different activities as yoga, depending on the motivation. Then when we get to meditation, Raja Yoga, then the number of possible methods grows smaller, more specialized, more focused. And for Jnana Yoga, there's basically only one method, and that's self-inquiry. Atma-jnana. So at the top, the pyramid is very narrow. At the base, it's very wide. So the yoga system has evolved over thousands and thousands of years, and it's going to evolve more because things change, people's change, people's activity changes. Now you can do yoga on the internet. That's what I'm doing, making a video, posting it on YouTube, promoting it on Facebook and whatnot. It's yoga. It's karma yoga. But we need karma yoga. It's not that karma yoga is somehow bad or low or something. No, it's the foundation. Karma yoga is the foundation on which we build good karma, shubha karma. And we need this shubha karma or punya to attain the higher stages of yoga. Later on, we're going to talk about how the different yoga classifications also fit with the chakra system. So if you're taking care of your body, if you're working for a living, if you're giving in charity, if you're going to church or temple, or taking care of, let's say, old relatives, or whatever you're doing that spreads good in the world, can be karma yoga. Okay, now, of course, a better form of karma yoga is religious rituals and pujas and study and stuff like that. But once you find a form of God that really speaks to your inner self and you concentrate on that form, that's bhakti. And bhakti arises spontaneously out of karma yoga. It's not an imposition on the mind. Rather, it's a natural outgrowth of pious activities. And then from there, again, Raja Yoga comes. Raja Yoga is the recognition that my mind is the obstacle to self-realization. And so we want to quiet the mind, focus the mind, and eventually to still the mind. That's Raja Yoga. So when we get to the top of meditation, what happens? That self-realization occurs spontaneously. And that's jnana. Okay? So don't believe people that say, we have the only one way to enlightenment and there's no other way and everybody else is wrong. That's divisive. That's not yoga. The spirit of yoga is to bring things together, to connect things, to connect the individual soul to the supreme soul, the individual living being to the supreme living being. That's yoga. And practically any activity that's done with that intention can be considered a form of yoga. So, ironically, there are many teachings and activities and centers and so on that claim to be about yoga, but they're not done with that intention. They're done with the intention of making money, of getting famous, of establishing our sect as the only truth, and so that's not yoga. Sorry. Somehow, while maybe using some of the methods that have been connected with yoga in the scriptures, they have dropped the spirit of yoga, that mood or that intention that makes it what it is. So this is what we're going to discuss in this series. both the bona fide approaches to yoga and the counterfeit, things that claim to be yoga but are not, that only promote division and discrimination and separation. So we have to be aware of both the truth and the untruth, both the correct and the incorrect interpretations of the Vedas. Why? So that we don't fall into the traps along the way. And one of the greatest traps is thinking, oh, I have the only truth, the only way. No one cometh to the Father but through me. That's the ultimate in egotism. Oh no, the pentultimate. The ultimate is thinking, I am God. No, you're not. When God is, I is not. When you are merged in God, you don't have an ego. When you come out from that state, of course you have an ego. But that's not God. So let's not mix these two things up, people. Let's keep a clear head. Let's go back to the original source of the yoga teachings, and that's the Vedas. And the conclusion or summary of the Vedas, Vedanta. So this series is going to be based on Vedanta, specifically on Shankaracharya's Shariraka Bhasya, his commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. And this is the platform on which all the teachings of the Vedas can be joined together. Yogo yukta prasanatma na sochati na kankshati. One who is engaged in this connection of the soul with the supersoul. Prasanatma, he feels great. Na sochati, he doesn't lament. Na kankshati, he doesn't desire to have anything. Why? Because he has found fulfillment within his own self, within his own soul. This is the aim of yoga. Not to divide, but to connect all people with the universal purpose of reducing or eliminating all suffering. Because suffering begins from birth, and it continues through death, and then rebirth. So we want to end the chain of birth, death, rebirth. Samsāra. Samsāra dava nalalidha loka. This samsāra is compared to an out-of-control forest fire. When there's a forest fire in the jungle, all the animals try to escape, but the fire can move quicker than them, and they're destroyed. So in the same way, everyone is trying to escape death, but actually it's not possible. It's out of control. Why is it out of control? Because we're trying to stop suffering by changing the external conditions, and we're not looking at changing the internal conditions that are the actual cause. So yoga is about knowing ourself and realizing the self and understanding the relationship between the self and the world. And that's what we're going to be looking into in this series. Om Tat Sat. Om Harihi Om.